I'm still pretty, right? Still pretty, right? After getting punched in the face last night, we were all feeling a little out of whack after that game last night. How will the Sixers bounce back on the second leg of their back-to-back? It's the PHLY Sixers podcast live from the Xfinity studio as we hang out with you. Derek, Kyle, I'm Devon. Bree is producing. She's the president of basketball operations. Good to see everybody there in the chat. We are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll give you the starters coming up in a little bit. Also with the Cavs, see what they have in their starting five. How do they get Vj Edgecombe going? We have to discuss that a little bit more. And we start off with simply, what's your response after dropping a 24-point lead?
Despair
Kyle?
and misery is my response.
And
Devon.
how do you respond as a team to, I hope they don't go into the game like
I sure
that.
hope not.
How do the guys respond after having such a tough loss last night, 24-point lead? They still led by 22 in the second half when Kelly Oubre hit a three-pointer. Still up 22, and as we know, the game-winning three-pointer from Nick Vucevic to give the Bulls the win. You can find we felt like we found out a lot about this team through the first 6 games before tonight, last night, and where they are, how good they could be, and all. But you could also learn a lot by how you respond by getting punched in the mouth, and they did that last night. One that they didn't expect to drop, I'd imagine, after being up so big, but. How do they respond tonight? What are you looking for from them in terms of a response and being ready in a tough matchup like this?
Well, I'll just be honest and transparent with everyone. I don't expect anything from any team on a back-to-back in today's NBA. I think we are increasingly reaching the point where, and Doc Rivers caught so much flack when he used the term scheduled loss all those many moons ago now. And I'm not saying that you go into all these just saying, it's an L, but the odds are against you.
100%.
And the Sixers are down a lot of important depth pieces. The guys who are left are guys that we are looking at the end of these games, like Tyrese Maxey and Vj Edgecombe, and saying, boy, these guys are tired because they've been playing too much and they've been carrying this massive workload. So what I want to see, Devon, is just bring a standard level of competitiveness. I'm not expecting you to be able to go just 150 miles an hour for 48 minutes, but you got to hang tough early. I think a lot of times the conventional wisdom in back-to-backs is you need to throw the first punch in the first quarter and a half, because you're already in more of a rhythm, so to speak, having played the night before. Try to get off to a hot start, whether you can take a double-digit lead, 15, 20-point lead. Obviously, we know after last night that those are not safe, depending on the opponent and depending on the game. But try to get off to a good start, and then you're going to have to cycle through some guys that just didn't play last night. You're going to need to rely on Justin Edwards. Andre Drummond is going to play backup minutes tonight. We'll see how the Bona-Drummond combination fares against the Cleveland frontcourt that is very good, that has been very successful over the last few years. Eric Gordon, I would suspect, probably will even spell some guys tonight because you don't want Maxey and VJ playing 40-plus minutes back-to-back nights. That's just, it's not sustainable. So you need everybody who's available, except for maybe Coach Lowry, to get in the game tonight, give you something, hope that you're there by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, and then it's 12 minutes of basketball. Anything can happen, but you just got to hold on to the rope in the early stages of the game.
Yeah. No, I think what Kyle said about back-to-backs and keeping your expectations low is right. We've talked about this time and time again. It's not meant to be an excuse. It's just the reality of the NBA. When one team is on a back-to-back and the other is not, that one team is at a very significant advantage. I do worry about it with Tyrese because as much as we focused on Joel in the last 5 minutes, I think what really started their downward trend was when Tyrese started to look tired and started to look gassed and started settling and even just passing up shots at times. And with how many minutes he's played this season, with him playing 39 last night on a back-to-back, and now they need him more than ever, I worry how much he has in the tank for tonight. It is something where, look, last night was an unforgivable loss. But even the good teams are going to have like 5 unforgivable losses throughout the course of the year. One night doesn't define a team. It's whether or not any patterns emerge. Their reaction to this will be really interesting. And it's tough to put too much on them because, like Kyle said, and I agree with, the back-to-back's a tough spot to be in, especially when you're so short-handed right now. But you just hope that the attention to detail, getting back in transition, like stuff that you can theoretically control, like the jumpers might not be there. A lot of times you have dead legs. Those come up short front rim, but you can't get beat mentally as well. And that's where a lot of times fatigue can hit you as well. So I'm really curious to see how they respond.
I am too. I'm very curious because this, even though it's game number, 8 tonight for the Sixers, it still, again, can tell a little bit of a story of what the DNA is of a basketball team, even on the second night of a back-to-back where you had to exert so much energy to hold off the Chicago Bulls when you shouldn't have, but you did eventually have to do that. And that's why last night when we talked about it post-game, it was so disheartening of how they lost that game because we knew game 2 against Cleveland was going to be tough anyway. And now that it happened that way, this is where you lean on them to say, okay, I'm curious to see how do you get ready for this one? How do you wash that taste out of your mouth and come back against a good team and compete and make it a game and not allow it to be a 20-point blowout where we look at it and say, yeah, we knew it was going to happen like this. Things change when you do what you did the night before, where now you got to go out there and show what you're really made of. You may not get the win, and I agree with Kyle. I honestly don't think they're going to win tonight. Did not think they were going to win tonight. That's why last night was so important for what they needed to close that game out. All you needed, again, was to win by 1 point. Just 1 point. And you go back and look at the film and see where you can correct those mistakes and get back out there on the floor. So I do want to see how players respond tonight. Bona in another starting role. How are you going to respond against that big front court of Allen and Mobley? How are you going to rebound the basketball against those two guys that they control that paint quite a bit? And are you going to be up for that challenge? I want to see if he is able to do that. I do want to see how Quentin Grimes bounces back after not having a good night last night, and the same thing for Trendon Watford. I do want to see that. Maxey is good. I mean, we've seen it. Playing too many minutes. We already know who he is, and he's bound to have off nights. Maybe tonight is that off night as well after playing another 39, and we saw how gassed he was towards the end. So a good number of those players I want to see, and I also want to see how Nick Nurse has these guys ready coming right out. Because, Kyle, when you mentioned how do you start off the game immediately, this is their second back-to-back of the season. They played Orlando at home last week, and then they played Washington in game 2. After they defeated Orlando, Washington jumped on them, and they had to, again, find a way to come back in that game. This is a different opponent now than the Washington Wizards. This is the Cleveland Cavaliers, the team with the best record in the NBA a season ago, and they return all their players. And I am, how are they going to be ready? Are they going to be game ready for this one? So every time they continue to play that commercial about Tyrese Maxey saying the new standard, yes, 82 games is a long season, but the standard also is after you take a tough loss like that, what's the message going into game number 2? How do you respond to that? It may be a loss, but is it a game? Are you out there competing in there and making this one where it's not a walkover for Cleveland? And you know that while it was tough, you're off Thursday and Friday before you have to play again. So once again,
and another back-to-back this weekend, by the way.
But hey, you're at home. Maybe the crowd can uplift you.
Thankfully.
You leave it all on the floor tonight. So that's what I want to see from them tonight, to leave it all on the floor. You don't have Embiid. You don't have McCain. You're down those two. So that's where the Edwards and the Drummond play comes into it. Even the Gordon part. Leave it all on the floor tonight. Wash that taste out of your mouth from last night and show that you are better than what we saw in that second half against Chicago.
You just don't want it to be a throwaway. You don't want any game to be a throwaway. So if they come out of this one and lose, what I will point to is more than likely who's not playing for them and the schedule disadvantage. So to substantiate the back-to-back phenomenon, this data is a little bit outdated at this point, only by a couple years, but someone did a study from 2003 to 2022, 2023 on no rest. Teams win at roughly a 44% clip. But when you play back-to-back road games, teams only win 39% of those games. That is a really ugly number. The Sixers were able to win a home away back-to-back when they won that Wizards one. And that was part of why we were so amazed that they were able to do it, was because you had to travel, albeit just to DC, but you play the night before, you go to overtime, you play this really grueling game, and they pull it out. That was a feather in their cap, even if it is the Wizards, because of the disadvantages that come with playing 2 nights in a row the way the league is today. So I just want to see them compete. I'm with you. I think when you talk about a standard and bringing it every night, it's not just when it's convenient. It's not just, hey, we have a standard, but when there's an excuse to not play hard, we're going to take it. That has to hold up regardless of who's in the lineup. And Tyrese has said that. It doesn't matter if Joel's here, Paul's here, I'm here. The team that's going to take the floor has to represent the name across the front of the jersey and this organization well. So I think that will be the mentality that Tyrese brings, that VJ brings. And I didn't even mention, like, maybe we see a Janai Broom in a game like tonight. You never know. Anybody could get out there tonight. These guys will be tired. They will be at a disadvantage compared to the Cavs in terms of pep in their step. So Nick Nurse just has to be prepared to throw just about anything at these guys and hope that it works. That's the best you can do in these circumstances.
All right, let's take our first break here, our only break here on the pregame show. We come back. How does VJ get going? We need to talk about him and see if he still has that energy. A lot of minutes once again, but can he muster up that energy against a very talented backcourt in Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell? We'll talk about it when we get back. It's the pregame show, Sixers Cavs, presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And this is a moment tonight for your home team. How will they prepare on the road against Cleveland? Well, we're going to find out. 90 million users worldwide on the app. And you have live streams of 780,000 events each year. You get early payout offers across the NBA and the NHL. And tonight, if you're feeling good about your team, Bree already put up a poll. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you're feeling good about your team, guess what? They are an 11.5-point dog on the road against this Cleveland squad. So how good do you feel about your basketball team? Well, if you're making a wager and you're feeling good, you got to go to Bet365. If you have not signed up and you are a new customer, we got a great deal for you. Sign up right now. New customers get $300 in bonus bets when you bet $5. That's win or lose. Sign up. Use code PHLY365. Deposit $10. Place a bet for $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets to place any wager you want, including your team beating Cleveland on the road tonight. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And guys, like I mentioned the other day, when we leave this studio, not the full studio, but this studio set and go out there and watch the game, we will be doing so with Xfinity, because we don't put up with any lagging. We don't put up with any buffering. We have standards, because if you call yourself a basketball fan, you have to have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination where you can find the best games and your favorite teams all in one place. The way that you watch is next level. Got all the action right in your living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. It's so clear that it feels like you're in the arena. On top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right on your TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by Bet365. Jack Reacher in the chat says, hammer the broom double-double tonight against that front court.
Let's worry about him actually getting on the floor at all before we... That is a level of degenerate that I simply cannot get behind. If you're making double bets on,
I don't even know if
Janai Broom.
I don't even know if he's in.
No, he's got to be off the board.
That's got to be off the board.
Yeah, I don't know if he's available on the board. All right, let's talk about one that is on the board, Derek, and that's Vj Edgecombe. Again, first double. He had a double-double last night. He had 11 boards for the Sixers, but still trying to find his way where it's that the big game and still has an impact the other way though. How do you get him going offensively? No Embiid, so that's one less player you have to worry about. And even McCain, you don't have to worry about him being out there. So how do you look to get him going? What do you want to see from him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think first first of all, you got to get out in transition. And part of that is you have to get the rebound, 2 hands, Adem, 2 hands, and don't run past the ball. Don't over pursue. Get the freaking rebound. Get this kid out in transition and try to get him some easy buckets. But really, like he's continued to take and make those open catch and shoot threes. I want to see it more. This is a game where you have to ask him to attack a little bit off the dribble. And look, he's going to have his hands full defensively. Like they need him on that end of the court too. He's going to be tired. Like we mentioned, they don't have back-to-backs in college. Just more minutes than he's ever played. There's a lot working against him. And when you have then a tough defensive assignment and you have to play big minutes, you understand, especially for young kids trying to figure this all out, that can sometimes come at the expense of their energy on offense. But you do need him to attack. You need him when he has isolations. Like I go back to, I don't remember if it was his first bucket, but when he crossed over Tillman like that, and you're like, this kid's got some real burst off the bounce. Yeah. I need to see more of that. We just haven't seen a ton of that in the half court. I mean, last night he had 4 makes, and I think 2 of them were from beyond the arc. I just want to see him be aggressive. And if that leads to an occasional missed shot or tough attempt at the rim, great. I'll live with that. But like I said, transition, which includes getting stops from members, not just VJ. Like you need a good team effort and you need an effort on glass.
He had some plays last night where he was running back and he's looking around like, where the hell is everybody else?
And then be aggressive off the bounce.
I mean, him deferring, Kyle, like we talked about with Embiid on the floor, where he was deferring, looking to him. He's unselfish, so he's looking for his teammates and he's trying to get the big fella going. But that moment where we kind of highlighted last night where they were playing hot potato of who was going to take the shot, and Embiid is the vet telling him, hey, you have the mismatch, go ahead and take it. He wasn't quite ready and sure of what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Therefore, he's tossing the ball back to Embiid. He's not there tonight. So with he and Oubre and Maxey, of course, Grimes comes into the game. They have been the one that have put the points up on the board for this team when Embiid has been out. You hope you see that tonight where it's not deferring. It's not a deferring situation.
I think the thing I'm concerned about is this is a tough matchup for a VJ-style player. Cleveland does 2 things very well. They defend the paint. That's obvious. They have Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley back there. They can keep one of those guys on the floor at any given time. In many cases, both of them will play together. So you're running into 2 different rim protectors. So VJ's issues finishing at the basket that we had concerns about coming into the league, those might show up tonight. There may be some, hey, he takes off and then all of a sudden he runs into 2 different big bodies at the rim. That's number 1. 2, they've done a really good job turning teams over. They are, I believe, second best in the league right now so far at opponent turnovers per night. So they have done a very good job of turning that defense into offense. And my guess would be they're going to try to get into VJ a little bit. I think we've seen teams have a bit of success with that strategy since Boston went there, and they're whittling away at what he can do. Joel and VJ, I did like that they had found some chemistry. I'm not going to say that they're Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, but I think you've seen the early makings of some plays that they can run together and build off of and expand that 2-man game eventually. So without Joel tonight, VJ will play more with a traditional rim running center, lob threat in Bona, somebody who is going to roll hard to the rim. That should open up opportunities for VJ as a pull-up shooter, right? So last night and some of these games recently, the pull-up 2s have not been there at the same efficiency. So that's how you're going to have to beat Cleveland more than likely. If you're going to run the offense through VJ for stretches of this game, I don't think he's going to get a lot of clean looks from 3. I don't think he'll get a lot of clean looks at the basket. So you're going to have to bring them out of the paint a little bit. If you can get some pull-up jumpers to go early in the game, then Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen have to second guess a little bit. That opens up opportunities at the rim. And then on top of that, I want to see him initiate contact a little more. I want to see him put his butt on the free throw line. He's got the build and the strength to get there.
You don't want to see him deterred because he didn't get them last night.
I want to see him respond to that by saying, like, hey, I didn't get calls in this game. The whistle was going a certain way. They allowed this level of physicality. That's okay. I got to use my shoulder. I got to use my whatever within the legal parameters of the game. I'm going to initiate contact and take it to the defense. They don't call it, but you can't change the process there. So I'd like to see some more of that from him tonight.
How about you? With the contact and all of how he he's not afraid of going to the basket.
No.
But he doesn't draw fouls much at all. Like
Right.
I think his free throw rate, so it's basically like free throw attempts per 100 field goal attempts is like sub 20, which is really, really low. Like that's, that is Tyrese Maxey, like rookie year levels low. And that was one of the things we really wanted Tyrese to improve upon. And a lot of that's just, sensing where the help is coming from, learning how to lean in and get the call, having faith that you're going to get the call.
And even on
I don't
the
think
mid-range
it's
jumper that Kyle was talking about, learn how to give that
take
ball
that
fake.
extra dribble and go all the way in.
Or
That's
just get
why Jimmy Butler is one of the
get the
great
ball
grifters
fake.
in the whole league. Is
Yeah.
pulling up from mid-range and guy
got
bites
you in
on
the air.
it. All of a sudden, that's 2 free throws.
No, it would be a great thing because right now his consistency in terms of scoring is really being buoyed by that catch and shoot 3.
Yeah.
And I agree with Kyle with Embiid out. You're probably not going to get quite as many of those opportunities. And also just because Cleveland's a really good defensive team, they don't lose their assignment quite as often. Free throws would be a great way to maintain consistency on a night-night basis. He just doesn't have that in his game right now. I'm not exactly going to expect him to turn that around right away. You would just like to see progress towards that.
And we've talked about this. We were surprised at the start that he had and the way that it was. And now he's taken a little bit of a step back at all as a rookie who's now playing in his 8th game in the NBA. And that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. He made us do this where we want a little bit more from him because of how good he was.
I still want him featured. Absolutely.
100% because of how good he was.
Yeah.
And again, how do you respond to what happened last night? You saw it, you felt it, you were dejected, you felt that pain in that locker room last night. Now, this is not college basketball. You get to turn right back around and come back and make up for whatever took place last night on that floor. So will we see it? I'm sure we'll get the effort, I think, because that's all he's shown. Will the results come in with some buckets, some free throws, lack of turnovers, making those outside shots as well? He never seems so far. He's played against some really good talented guards and some wings that have tried to defend him. He's not afraid of them. He's going against 2 really good ones tonight. And I'm also curious to see how he holds up defensively against these 2
That's
with the matchup. Because of the minutes, your legs a little shaky right now, but you have to get it going where you and Oubre have to be the guys that are really up forefront of how good your perimeter defense is going to be because, hey, you can't let these guys get going, and they can from the perimeter and get into the basket and setting up their teammates for looks as well.
Now, if we're trying to make the case for, hey, the Sixers might have a chance tonight, Cleveland's offense has not been very good so far. The last year, they were a 2-way juggernaut. They win 60-plus games. They're good on both sides of the floor. It's obviously very early, but they changed the roster midstream last year. They lose Karis LeVert, or they swap Karis LeVert out. You're bringing in DeAndre Hunter. Ty Jerome leaves in the offseason. And that's a pretty big loss for them. He was a big weapon for them last season. They haven't shot the ball well. They're taking lots of threes in Cleveland. They're not making lots of threes. That could be just as simple as you get Darius Garland back tonight. Some guys, basically everybody in the rotation, in the backcourt rotation anyway, is sliding down a priority spot, and Garland's going to generate higher quality threes for people. He's a very good offensive point guard. So you have to be prepared for, you might just get hit with an avalanche. It is possible. They've shot the ball so poorly for a good offensive team that you say maybe they're just due, and maybe they take it out on you on second night of a back-to-back. So I think the hope would be with Garland in his first game back, he hasn't played. You got to attack him, whether it's VJ in that matchup, whether it's Maxey who ultimately gets Garland on some of these possessions. You can't let him hide. They do have to do a little bit of hunt the bozo, find where he's at, test his legs, test his conditioning, just see where he's at and challenge him because he's going to help them on offense. The degree to which he does might depend on how much energy you can take from him on the other end of the floor.
Have we gotten a minutes limit or any kind of minutes guidance on Darius?
I did not see anything. It might be out there at this point, but I had not heard anything. I know the initial reporting from Shams was he used some weird wording. It was like a structured return. Yeah, I see that face over there. So I would not be surprised if he's limited to, let's say, 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
I'm sure there is. I just don't think it's been announced.
Yeah.
All right, Malk C10 in the chat says, I think you see another Nick Nurse-laced win we saw back in the day. A gritty defensive game tonight. Hard closeouts, in-your-chest defense, and hopefully good help defense against this Cavaliers team.
I hope so.
I hope we get it.
I hope they play with the defensive pop they had early in
the
that
first
game because they moved really.
Oh, man.
They were connected. They were competitive. A lot of stuff that I liked. And then the second half happened.
And I don't understand how it went from that.
Two different teams.
To that.
Two different teams.
Even after coming out of the locker room and doing that, man. So, all right, let's get to the starters tonight to see who are going to be the ones that have the responsibility of making sure they turn it around after last night. For the Sixers, you got the regular three of Maxey, Edgecombe, and Oubre. And I guess in a sense the fourth because Walker's started quite a few since Barlow's been out. And then you have a Dembona getting the call to start the game off. Andre Drummond will be coming off the bench. That's your starting five for the Philadelphia 76ers. So not much of a surprise there. This way you have Grimes and Edwards along with Drummond coming off the bench, and we'll see where things go from there. Eric Gordon, to your point, could you get a Janai Broom appearance at some time out there on the floor? And that's the other thing. If they get in foul trouble, there's no Dominic Barlow to have he and Walker man the front court together. There's only Walker, and that's where you wonder if he has enough trust to lean in on Janai Broom to help out a bit. The Cavaliers, they're starting their normal four. Jalen Tyson has been playing well for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He gets the start at the three. Darius Garland is back, as the guys have talked about. Donovan Mitchell, Tyson, Evan Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year, and Jarrett Allen for the five. Now with Hunter coming off the bench, Lonzo Ball, Sam Merrill as well, and that's a pretty good eight right
Tyson's
there.
one of the only guys who has shot well for them to start the year. He's shooting the cover off the ball. Lonzo, as Devon and I were discussing prior to the show, is not shooting well from anywhere on the floor. So maybe he's due. He obviously still does all his connected passing and playmaking, regardless of how he's shooting the ball. But interested to see what Cleveland looks like tonight at something closer to full strength, although Hunter is out tonight.
He is out. I'm sorry.
He's got an illness. Yeah, was. We were unclear on that. He was questionable, and every other questionable guy ended up being in. But illness knocks DeAndre Hunter out of the lineup entirely tonight.
Yep.
Kyle brought it up. I'm deathly afraid that they're going to have a shooting variance,
just a
getting back
right
to normal game. Yeah, like when you have a team that was, I think, they were top 2 or 3 in the league in three-point percentage last year. They're finally getting healthy. They're taking a lot of quality threes, and they haven't really been making them. I'm worried we're going to be in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, it's always against your team when it happens, when a team gets right. All right, let's get to our Bet365 pregame picks presented by the one and only Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bree, we got to get back on the right side of things. Last night, we went 0 for 2.
Come on, Bree.
In our picks. Let's start it off here. What do we have? Bree's same game parlay is a plus 190. Kelly Oubre, 15+ points. And the same for Darius Garland. That's a plus 190 for Bree's same game parlay. I'm with you on this one, Bree. That's a really good one. Except for the Garland part. You hope he has 5 tonight.
No, I hope Bree's wrong.
Right. Yeah. And for me, mine is a little lighter. Edgecombe to get 15 points and Sam Merrill to knock down 2 threes tonight. You can combine those if you feel like those are good. Make sure you do so at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. PHLY 365 when you sign up and take advantage of our great opportunity there at Bet365.
There's some momentum building to go away from Bet and Bree to Bree Dictions, by the way. So that's we're had to Bree can make the call on that one, but it is
I have a
name.
strong sense which way Bree is leaning. I don't think it's going to be Bree Diction.
All right, 10 minutes after the game goes final or sooner, when the game goes final, we'll be back with you on the post-game show. We'll see if we get things right on the pregame picks, and we'll see if your basketball team, most importantly, can compete in this game and steal one on the road against the Cleveland Cavaliers. For Derek, Kyle, Bree, I'm Devon. We'll see you after the game, presented by Bet365 right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show.
We all silly like the mayor.